YouTube, it's TOONE back with another one for you. This one you guys are gonna like. It is gonna show you how to increase your credit score dramatically using UCC filings. So everybody who's already got their filings is already in there. If you're not familiar with it, we're gonna go over a little bit of the things necessary in order to get these UCC files. By using loans and things like that. So let's go ahead and get into this. So right here, what you are about to learn is one of the big secrets that some well-known credit gurus use to build their customers' credit. And this shit works amazingly, all right? Because everything's connected to the UCC and Secretary of State. So this is how you get your credit up crazy. So the purpose of this information is to show you how to add personal loans and leases to your personal credit report. The method you will learn is the same technique that banks, auto dealers, and property managers use. We will be using the UCC Uniform Commercial Code to place transfer references on your credit report. Article 9 of the Commercial Code deals with secure transactions of any loans, leases, rentals, or purchases where collateral is used to secure items. Okay? So credit bureaus are connected to a public filings database that updates every 24 to 72 hours. They automatically receive all liens and bankruptcy information after it is filed at the county, state, or federal level. UCC financing statement is a form of a public filing. It is filed with your local county registrar's office. Credit bureaus check public records as a part of their investigations. Reporting these public records has an effect on the credit rating of your personal credit. By the way, it can also be used for improving your credit, your business credit. All right. So this is how you set up trade lines and things like that. People will charge you like 10 grand to set up a fucking trade line. You can do that shit yourself with one of your boys, bro. Come on. Or you can even do it, just do it yourself. So I could always go into a lot of legal jargon and accounting terms, but I feel it would be better to dive straight into explaining how it all works. And one of the biggest things, just a side note, like a lot of people, will go set up like their data furnishing businesses and things like that. And it takes a lot of time and things like that to build up your status as a data furnisher so you can report information to the credit bureaus and things like that. You bypass all that shit and you don't got to pay none of them niggas by just doing it yourself with this UCC. All right. So let us begin. So I will use a story to help illustrate how everything works. I will try to make it as simple as possible. Really, anyone can do it, and you certainly do not need a lawyer. Before we proceed, please keep in mind that the following story, my friend's credit will improve after the UCC process is complete. All right, so we're going to get into how this shit all works. So a friend of mine came to me and asked if he could borrow some money. This is a hypothetical situation. He only needed $10,000. I knew he was good for it, so I agreed under one condition. We agreed that if I will file a UCC-1, I will need to show some collateral to secure the loan. UCC is a financing statement that tells the public that collateral is held between parties for an agreement between parties. In this case, the agreement is the $10,000 loan, which will be put on paper, of course. And the collateral will be made public knowledge, using the UCC filings that will be referenced by the agreement. The agreement will also be filed publicly. My friend agreed to use a four-wheeler, some computer equipment, and an old banged-up car as collateral. He said he would only need the loan for 90 days, so I decided to not charge interest. We agreed that he would pay me $3,333.33 a month for 3 months. So that would come to about $999.99, right? So a piece of collateral will be released after every payment. We also decided on what order the collateral will be released. First, the computer equipment, then the four-wheeler, and finally the car. This is very important, and I will explain later. After we finished hashing out the details, I wrote out everything on a piece of paper. This paper is an agreement, a security agreement, okay? So also, and keep in mind too, for all my bankers out there, so when you create a security agreement like this dude's doing right now, you can also cash in on that security agreement because that is going to be a marketable security, which if you have a treasury account, you can send it into them and make a deposit for the face value of that instrument, okay? Just a side note that this doesn't talk about. So I told him that he could keep in possession of the collateral at his home, but I would need the serial numbers off of everything. We then went to a local notary to get the promissory note witnessed and signed. I gave him the money and he was on his way. It is now left up to me to fill out a UCC1 financing statement for the agreement that we signed. A sample promissory note, form of agreement. And you guys know what a promissory note is, right? So you can also send in the promissory note to get cashed in. So not only did he do all this, fix all his credit, if he knows anything about banking, he can also cash in that promissory note. All right? Magic, right? A sample promissory note, form of agreement, can be purchased from Staples or downloaded free from the web. I also have examples of promissory notes. If you guys need those, just send me an email. I'll send you the promissory notes. Shit's all free. Free. Frankly, it can even look as simple as the one below. So here we're looking at his promissory note. John Doe of XYZ agrees to borrow $10,000 from G Boogie of XYZ on this one day, September 2010. This loan is to be repaid no later than 20 days from the date at zero interest. This loan will be secured by collateral listed below. The terms of this loan are as follows: 3 payments of $3,333.33. The first payment will be due in 30 days from the date of this note, at which case a piece of collateral will be released on the schedule listed below, and all claims to that particular collateral will be terminated. Collateral: 1988 Mitsubishi. He's got the VIN numbers here. He's got his computer equipment with the serial numbers. At the first payment is received, the computer equipment will be released. After receiving the second payment on time, the four-wheeler will be released, and finally the vehicle. And that would be at the end of the payment. And then all of that agreement will be terminated, but whoever has the original promissory wet ink signed promissory note will be able to cash that in if you know what banking is. And you guys know what banking is. So before I file a UCC, I must go to the local courthouse to have the original agreement registered with the county. This would be your local county register's office. Some counties give you a hard time when trying to register a promissory note if it does not involve real estate like a lease. So, as long as you're doing, you're not gonna. As long as you know what you're doing, you're not gonna have an issue getting this done. So, if this is the case, simply file the note agreement along with the UCC1. I have found it easier at the state level. And you guys know we do this shit online. You can just upload it online. You go, file the UCC, and you just add that file. You just add it in as like a PDF file. The notarized version of the promissory note can be uploaded into the UCC filing itself. It doesn't necessarily have to be done at the registrar's office as well. Keep that in mind. So filing the agreement creates a file number that can be referenced on the UCC1. So you'll reference your filing number. The aim is to file both the agreement and the UCC1 form. And you just upload it on there. When you do your UCC1, just upload the file and you'll be good. So now, any investigating credit bureau will find a UCC1 filing against the individual or corporation for business credit. As they look further into it, they will also find the agreement that the UCC was filed for, right? And so that'll all be found inside the file when they type in the filing number. And that'll all be in the public record. So that's all registered with the Secretary of State once you do that, okay? So this way, there will be a complete picture of what the UCC was about. Remember, the UCC does not have details of the agreement, and hence credit bureaus would want to look further when they find the UCC in the public records. And it definitely should have it in there. Once you file it in, upload the file, then it'll be there for them to look at. So bureaus want a complete picture of the individual's financial position. After about 2 months of the initial filing, the UCC will be amended, indicating a release in collateral as the corresponding agreement is fulfilled. So in our example, and you just go in there, once you file it and you want to terminate it, you just go back in, type in your UCC1 number, it'll pull up your file, you file a UCC3 termination, and that's how you would just terminate the whole thing. So in our example, as my friend pays back the loan, each payment will result in a release in collateral. Since there are 3 total payments, there will be 2 amendments, and the third will be a termination of the UCC. So in summary, I filed a UCC, waited about 2 months, and then filed an amendment every month for 2 months after that. Then on the 3rd month, it will be time to terminate the UCC. Since the complete loan is paid off, this is similar to a loan from a bank being paid off. As a result, my friend's credit report will have developed a solid trade line. And that's where you need trade lines to build your credit. And they just want to see, constant payments and payments being made on time and things like that. And that'll boost your score. So here's a quick summary of the process. Two or more parties get into an agreement, make it legal by signing and notarizing it. The secured party, you guys know what a secured party is, files a UCC1 statement indicating the collateral being secured. Now, hang on, let me write this number down. So the UCC is then amended, showing the collateral being released as the loan is paid off little by little. As the agreement is fulfilled little by little, finally the UCC is terminated. There is a section for UCC on all credit reports, business and personal. It shows any transactions that were made by way of collateral, security. By filing a UCC1 along with a security agreement and promissory note listing the details of the transaction, you create a credit reference on your credit report. When the bureaus pick up all of these public filings and finally show that the lien was cleared, your credit will improve. Remember that the one thing that is clearing their collateral, the party that borrowed the money, will have their credit improved. In our story, it was my friend. Now we'll show you the forms that you have to fill out. So please follow these rules when filing. UCC financing statement is a form that can be obtained from the website of your county registrar's office or from the office itself. You can also do it online. I do these shits online. And I actually may even be offering this service in the future too as well. So hit me up in a couple months about this if you guys are interested. So the main purpose of the UCC financing statement, UCC1, is to indicate the collateral and its description. That is used to secure a separate agreement. The agreement and the UCC financing statement are two separate documents. The registrar's office is there to help you with the UCC filing. They are not there to help you build your credit. You do not need an attorney to prepare these documents. Above all, keep it simple. And I mean, you do want to keep it as simple as possible. So, there's just a few basic elements here to keep in mind, and so that's all. So, sample security agreement. The difference between a simple promissory note and a security agreement is that the latter contains the details of the collateral as well. A simple promissory note does not contain collateral details. A promissory note and a security agreement are a very straightforward fill-out. So here you have an example of the security agreement and the stipulations there. So what do we got? So associate has borrowed funds and may borrow subsequent advance additional funds from secured party pursuant a $10,000 secured convertible promissory note on even date here. A security for its repayment obligations under the note. Company has agreed to grant secured party a secured interest in all of its assets, terms set hereforth by the security agreement. Now, therefore, to that and in consideration on the premise covenants and agreements set forth below, the mutual benefits to be derived from the security agreement and all other goods and valuables consideration, the parties hereto agrees as follows. Security agreement. To secure the obligation, associate hereby transfer, conveys, assigns, and grants to secured party a secured interest in associate's assets which covered the following items. And this is going to be his car, the four-wheeler, and things like that. And the obligation is the security interest is given as security for all indebtedness and obligations owed by associate to secured party, whether now existing or hereafter incurred under the security agreement or the note. So that's going to be the terms of this security agreement, and that's going to be a marketable security as well. So filling out a UCC1, below you see a screenshot on the top half of a UCC1 form. So here we're going to go over what this shit should look like. So here you got John Doe. The debtor's name is right there. You got his address. So when filling out a UCC1 on a personal level, it is a good idea to have a friend or family member extend the loan to you. That way they can file in their name, and the above John Doe would be you, right? So you can do this with just a couple of parties, or even if you have a company set up, you can just take a loan from your company and pay it back and file it in the UCC1, boom, and instantly build your credit. Magic. That will help build business credit. This is why when you see the organization's name and type of organization, for our purposes, we will ignore those parts of the form. Never list your social security number on the form. It is not needed. Under organization ID, check the box that says none. So that's a good thing to keep in mind too. And that's what I always tell my clients as well. You never really want to post all of your information out there like that, because keep in mind, this is all going to be accessible to the public. Okay, so you don't want to put too much personal info there. So line 2 is just there in case there is more than one person involved in the transaction that also is a secured relationship with John Doe on this filing. Because it is just John Doe on this transaction, all of line 2 will be left blank. Line 3 lists the secured party lender. It is filled out the same way as line 1, but with the lender's name. At this point, I know the form seen is easy to fill out. It's almost too easy. Line 4 is where we list the collateral we spoke about earlier. The collateral must be described with as much detail as possible. At this point, you should have your promissory note already registered with your local clerk of court. This is very important if you want this filing to be structured as a trade line. Having your note registered with a local authority gives it a registration number that needs to be listed within the collateral section of line 4 of the UCC1 financing statement. This causes a reference to the details of the secured transaction that the bureaus will sniff out. This information will then be posted to the credit. I want to clarify this again since it will give you a very clear picture of the process. Remember that the financing statements do not list the dollar amounts, they only list in the collateral. The details of the agreement, like the dollar amount, will only be found when the bureaus find the original agreement in the public records. This is why we give the location of the details by a reference number to the original agreement. The reasons that the bureau would pursue it would be to get an accurate read on your financial position. And this is what they're always trying to look at. That's why they always want pay stubs and things like that record where you're at financially and on the public record. Okay, so here we have another picture of the secured party's collateral. So line 3 lists the secured party lender. It is filled out the same way as line 1, but with the lender's name. At this point, I know the form seems too easy to fill out. Line 4 is where we list the collateral that we spoke about earlier. The collateral must be described with as much detail as possible. At this point, you should have your promissory note already registered with your local clerk of court. This is very important if you want this filing to be structured as a trade line. So this is again. Alright, so I want to clarify this again since it will give you a very clear picture. Hang on, let me write this number down. Since it will give you a very clear picture of the process, remember that the financing statements do not list the amounts, they only list the collateral. The details of the agreement, like the dollar amount, will only be found with when the bureaus find the original agreement. So here we have more pictures of the UCC1 filing document. The UCC3 releasing the collateral. A UCC3 must be filed to indicate the release of collateral. An update to the original UCC1. This will reflect that a part of the agreement has been satisfied and states that the collateral is still being used to secure the remaining balance. Once you have filed the UCC1 and it is time to update it and release collateral, you must file a form UCC3, let's say after about 2 months of the initial filing of the UCC1. All right. As you can see, the format is still the same. After you file your UCC1, it will be given a file number. That's your filing number. The number will go on line 1A for releasing collateral. We will focus on line number 8. So to release collateral, you're going to focus on line 8. So we're almost done. We got like 2 more pages here. At this point, I am sure everything is pretty obvious. Just click deleted collateral and add all the deleted collateral, terminating the UCC. If you have reached this far, the terminating of the UCC should be easy. It is. You're just filing the UCC3 termination. You file it, you pay your little fee, boom, and it's done. The same form that was used for the amendment of the UCC will be used for the termination. It's called the UCC3 termination. So you would simply click that point on the termination. Everything else on the form remains the same except there is no change to collateral since this is a termination. And if you're doing this shit online, it's not even going to give you options to click anything that's not relevant anyway. So it really is easier online, to be honest with you. So we do realize that you might want to keep your personal credit finance issues separate from friends and family, but we can offer an alternative. Instead of having you and your friend carry this out, you can actually do it with a corporation. And that's what I was just telling you. So you can set up an LLC or whatever and just do it with that. So setting up a corporation is simply a matter of getting an EIN number and a tax ID number for a corporation that you set up. You can do it online on the IRS website quick. Like fucking 10 minutes you can get an EIN set up. Search the web for any of the companies that help to get you incorporated. You do not need a lawyer for this. In fact, just go to the IRS website, ask them for the EIN to set up a C Corp or LLC, whatever you want to do. Then you go to your state's website and get the certificate of incorporation. So main things you need are a business address. You can make it a home-based address. If you have another address, you can use that. But remember that any mail for the business should come to that location. The nature of the business, you can call it business management. So I deal with real estate, because I deal with securities, that's actually considered real estate. So I set up a company for that. So something generic. Remember, we are talking about UCC filings and not business credit. Refer to the website for business credit, etc. And social security number. The type of business to make it easier, let's say a C Corp structure. After you try this UCC method, you will realize there is a whole finance world out there. A C Corp always allows more flexibility. The main officer, of course, you are the main officer and hence will sign any documents for decision making. At this point, to realize that if you want a relative or a friend to be the main officer, you can do that as well. So right here, this dude's giving you different options of how to set up your corporations. And you just want to structure it according to how you plan on operating. You know what I'm saying? That's really the main thing. And so all these different businesses are just different structures. That's all. So what do we got? So since the whole point of opening a corporation is to have a separate legal entity, your friends or relatives are not really directly involved. They have the protection of the corporation. But for this example, let us say that you are the only officer of the corporation. After that, you have to simply take the court papers that you receive, have the EIN number and tax ID number, and pay the Office Depot visit. At Office Depot, you can order a corporate kit that will have the company seal. Every time that you sign a paper involving the corporation, you will use the seal to stamp the company name, much like a lawyer does. Creating a corporation creates a separate legal entity. In effect, the corporation can file a UCC against you and vice versa. If you want to improve your credit, have the corporation file a UCC for money that you owe the corp. Follow the same process as outlined previously when we were involved with an agreement with your friend. All right, and it really is simple. So when it is time to sign the promissory note, you will be signing both as you, the individual, and as the corporation chief officer. Be sure to stamp it with the company's seal. By now, I am sure you realize that this is a real solid information, and I am telling you that the world of business credit has even more potential. And it really does, because once you build your credit up and you go and you start grabbing assets, say houses and cars, and you discharge those, and you're going to see a whole new world open up to you. It's crazy. But you do got to have your credit up to be able to qualify for financing and shit. All right? So if you do not have a business at present, don't worry. Just open the tremendous opportunities available. Of course, if you already have a corporation, you can actually make the corporation the debtor. You can lend your corporation money. That will help build the credit of the business. So you can build your credit business the same way by setting up a trade line with yourself. So here's a free tip. Say if you have a corporation and you file a UCC for an agreement between you and the corporation, the agreement states that the corporation borrowed money from you. So hang on a second. Let me write this down. So the agreement states that the corporation borrowed money from you, so the corporation is building credit. If both parties involved, you and the corporation, agree that you can actually backdate the agreement, as an example, the agreement states that the deal was made. The money was borrowed over a year ago, even though the agreement was just signed a month ago, and even though the business was not even incorporated a year ago. Yes, that is true. Strictly speaking, you do not have to be incorporated to start a business. You might need to incorporate a certain licenses, but not to start conducting business. The beauty of this is that it becomes part of your business credit. So what he's saying here is that you can backdate the filing to create an even better credit score. So you can say that this happened a year ago when it happened like 10 or 15 times already. Then you're going to have a fucking impeccable credit score. You understand the way the game works now? So the beauty of this is that it becomes part of your business credit file, and lenders can see that you really were in business before the business was actually incorporated. That is actually a very good way to backdate the corporation. Of course, the agreement has to be notarized. The rest of the process is the same. Look beyond fancy websites. As far as no-nonsense information about credit, we have no peers. So one final word, do not go overboard with any aspect of the filing. For example, the number the number of UCC filings. Hang on, let me write this down. So do not go overboard with any aspect of the filing. For example, the number of UCC files and the dollar amount of the agreement should be reasonable. It should look realistic on your credit report. And the big thing to keep in mind is it doesn't matter the dollar amount. They're just looking for payments made on time. That's all it's about. And then when you backdate it, it looks like it happened for a whole year. That's going to put you up at 800. So this is a completely legitimate process, and it should be one of your big secrets to building credit. So use this technique with care and hand it out with care. A number of years ago, a person could become an authorized user of another person's credit and assume that card complete credit history. And you can do that too as well. So that really was too good and too easy. Well, guess what? Everyone started doing it, and now that simple method does not work at all. So please be careful with this powerful UCC method. Start as soon as possible and do not rush the process. So that's really what it's about. And I thought this was an awesome. If you guys want this PDF, just email me, sovereignproductions369@gmail.com. I'll send this to you for free. You already know what time it is. And it is a game of chess. Stop playing checkers with these clowns. That's what I got for you for now. Until we meet again.